Before we begin, if you're here because you're curious about philosophy and how ancient wisdom can guide our modern lives, then welcome. If you enjoy deep conversations about the mind, life, and action, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and leave me a comment below. I read every single one, and your thoughts help guide the topics we explore together. Now, let's talk about the silent thief of time. Procrastination. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. And yet, knowing our time is limited, we delay, we postpone, we tell ourselves, tomorrow, as if tomorrow is guaranteed." Today, we're going to explore the dark side of procrastination, why it's so destructive, and, most importantly, how to break free. Segment 1. The hidden nature of procrastination. Procrastination is not simply laziness. It is avoidance. It is the subtle art of turning away from discomfort, of sidestepping the work that makes us uneasy, the responsibility that feels heavy, the truth that our actions, and perhaps even more so, our inactions, are shaping the course of our lives. We often think procrastination is a harmless delay, a brief postponement of effort, but it is far more insidious than that. Left unchecked, it becomes a way of living, an invisible force keeping us stuck, convincing us that there will always be more time, that tomorrow will be better, that conditions will one day be perfect. The philosopher William James once observed that nothing is so fatiguing as the eternal hanging on of an uncompleted task. And you know that feeling. The one where something you need to do lingers at the edge of your mind all day, quietly draining your energy, making even your moments of rest feel incomplete. Because when we procrastinate, we don't escape the work, we carry it with us. We live in a constant state of unresolved tension. A task sits undone, haunting the background of our thoughts, interrupting our peace. The mind knows what must be done, but the body resists, inventing distractions, chasing small comforts, bargaining for a few more minutes. And here's the paradox. Doing the work would relieve us, yet the anticipation of discomfort makes us avoid it, which only deepens the discomfort. It's a loop, a self-perpetuating cycle. The longer we delay, the heavier the task becomes, until it's no longer about the thing itself, but the weight of having avoided it for so long. Breaking that cycle is rarely about sheer willpower. It's about honesty, about facing the real reason we're putting something off. Maybe we fear failing. Maybe we fear succeeding. Maybe the task reminds us of something we'd rather not confront. But until we meet that fear directly, we will keep circling it. There's a certain quiet freedom in doing the thing you've been avoiding. The tension breaks. The air feels lighter. You remember that you're capable. And that's the strange gift of procrastination. Once you finally act, you realize the doing was never as bad as the waiting. So the next time you feel yourself drifting into delay, notice it, name it. Then take one small step toward the thing you've been avoiding. Not because you have to finish it all right now, but because carrying the weight of the unfinished is far more exhausting than carrying the weight of the work. Your mind will thank you. Your future will thank you. And perhaps most importantly, your present will finally feel like it belongs to you again. Segment 2. The illusion of infinite time. Procrastination thrives on one dangerous assumption, that there will always be more time. It's a quiet lie we tell ourselves, one that feels harmless in the moment, but costs us more than we realize. The Roman philosopher Seneca reminded us long ago that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. And here we are, centuries later, still learning the same lesson. Every moment we delay is a trade we make, whether we admit it or not. We trade the peace of our future for the comfort of right now. We trade the momentum of progress for the fleeting hit of distraction. We tell ourselves we're buying time, but really, we're spending it. And unlike money, time has no refund policy, no way to earn it back once it's gone. We treat it like an endless account, but the truth is that none of us knows the balance left. Each day we hesitate is a day we'll never get to repeat. Each hour we let slip away is one less we can use to move toward the things we say matter most. Procrastination doesn't feel dangerous in the moment because the consequences are delayed, but that's what makes it so effective at stealing from us. It doesn't take everything all at once. It takes small slices, an evening here, an afternoon there, until suddenly months have passed and the thing we meant to start is still sitting untouched. The weight of it grows heavier, not lighter, with each day we wait. And still we tell ourselves there will be time tomorrow. But tomorrow is not a guarantee. It's an idea, a hope, a possibility, but never a certainty. The only thing we can truly count on is the moment we have right now. This one. The question is whether we will use it or lose it. Because time is not given in bulk. It is given in single, fleeting moments. And the longer we believe the illusion that there will always be more of them, the more we risk reaching the end of our time with a heart full of could be anything about the world, anything we feel within. Bostons are not anything as well. And when we finally understand that, procrastination loses its power. Because the truth is, there will not always be more time. There is only this time, and it is passing. Segment 3, the emotional cost. We often think of procrastination as a productivity problem, as if the only issue is time management or lack of discipline. It's not. It's an emotional burden, a weight we carry quietly and sometimes for far too long. Every piece of unfinished work sits in the back of our mind like an unopened letter, and we know it's there even when we try to forget. Each missed deadline leaves behind not just inconvenience, but shame. And the longer we delay, the heavier the load becomes. It's not the task itself that exhausts us. It's the constant awareness that we haven't done it yet. The Stoics understood this long before productivity apps and self-help books. To them, procrastination wasn't about efficiency. It was about integrity. They saw it not as an external issue, something to solve with better schedules, but as an internal misalignment, when our values and our actions no longer match. When we say something matters to us, but our behavior tells a different story, we create tension inside ourselves. That tension is where the guilt grows. And over time, the guilt begins to feel heavier than the work we were avoiding in the first place. So procrastination isn't just about doing the thing. It's about closing the gap between what we believe in and what we actually do. It's about taking the small, sometimes uncomfortable step toward alignment, so we're no longer living in that quiet contradiction. Because the truth is, the weight lifts the moment we start, not when we finish. The act of beginning is a signal to ourselves that we are, once again, in harmony with what we value. And that is the real cure for procrastination. Not speed, not pressure, but returning to that place where our actions and our ideals meet. Segment 4. The dark spiral. Here's the danger, and it's more subtle than most of us realize. Procrastination breeds more procrastination. It's not just a single choice to delay something. It's the beginning of a pattern, a quiet habit that grows roots. The more we put something off, the more it swells in our minds, taking on a weight and a size it never actually had in reality. A small, manageable task becomes a looming mountain. What could have been a simple step turns into a burden so heavy we convince ourselves we can't possibly carry it. And the longer we wait, the heavier it gets. This is how delay transforms into paralysis. And paralysis, if left unchecked, doesn't just waste time, it feeds regret. Regret for the things we could have done, the changes we could have made, the moments we could have lived fully but didn't. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard observed that most men pursue pleasure with such breathless haste that they hurry past it. We rush toward distractions, comfort, the easy escape, thinking that by avoiding discomfort, we're somehow protecting ourselves. But what we're really doing is avoiding the life we could be living. The real loss isn't the task left undone. It's the progress never made, the skills never developed, the opportunities never seized. Every time we delay, we're not just pushing work into the future, we're shrinking the future itself. We're surrendering the version of ourselves we could become to the comfort of staying as we are. And while that might feel safe in the moment, it's a safety laced with slow, creeping loss. The truth is, most of the pain we try to avoid by procrastinating is an illusion. Starting is rarely as bad as we imagine. Often, the work becomes lighter the moment we pick it up. Action shrinks fear. Motion dissolves doubt. And every small effort, taken now rather than later, begins to rebuild momentum. The life you want doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It responds to the moments you choose. So, the choice is here, and it is now. Not when it feels easier. Not when you feel more ready. Not when you've cleared the way. Now, because every day you wait, the mountain grows, and every day you act, it gets smaller. I feel much the difference between a life of regret and a life of meaning may be as simple as which direction you take your next step. Segment 5. Why we really procrastinate. It's not laziness, it's fear. Fear of failing, fear of not measuring up. Fear that we might try with everything we have and still discover it's not enough. Sometimes it's even fear of success, because deep down, we know that success changes us, changes our relationships, changes what's expected of us. And change, even when it's good, can be unsettling. Psychology has a name for this pattern. It's called self-handicapping. It's the art of placing obstacles in our own way, whether we realize it or not, so that if the outcome falls short, we have an excuse ready to protect our ego. It's safer to say, I didn't have time, I didn't prepare, I wasn't really trying, than to admit I went all in and still fell short. Because if we can blame the lack of effort, we never have to confront the more painful possibility that our best might not have been enough. So we wait, we procrastinate, we tinker around the edges of the work, but never fully commit to it. We make ourselves busy with the wrong things, chasing that false comfort of effort without the risk of exposure. And on the surface, it lives like laziness, like disorganization, like a lack of ambition. But underneath, it's just fear, doing what fear does best, convincing us to protect ourselves from the sting of disappointment, even at the cost of progress. The trouble is, that protection is a trap. It spares us the sharp pain of failure, but locks us into the slow, suffocating ache of never knowing what we could have been. We forget that imperfection is inevitable, that failure is often the tuition we pay for growth, and that the discomfort we fear is usually the doorway to everything we actually want. The truth is, the only way to quiet that fear is not to bargain with it, not to wait until it disappears, but to move forward alongside it, to do the work before we feel ready, to give our full effort without the shield of excuses, and to let the results teach us what they will. Because the moment we stop building those obstacles and start showing up with everything we've got, we remove the very thing that's been holding us back. Not laziness, but fear.
Segment 6. The first step, ruthless self-honesty. You cannot conquer procrastination without first admitting you are doing it. That is the first and most uncomfortable truth. You can't fight what you won't name, and you can't expect progress if you keep pretending the delay is something else. Waiting for the right time, waiting for inspiration, waiting for a sign that may never come. So here's where it begins. Write down, right now, the things you've been avoiding. Not tomorrow, not later, not when you finish scrolling, or when you're in the mood. Right now. Take the weight that's been sitting in your head and put it where you can see it. No judgment, no self-attack, just honesty. Awareness is the doorway to change. And sometimes all it takes is flipping on the light to see that the monster in the dark is only a shadow. Aristotle said that knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And that's not just poetic philosophy. It's a practical weapon. Because the moment you know truth about what you've been avoiding, you can finally choose to face it. You'll notice something happens when you write that list. Some items will feel heavier than others, not because they're impossible, but because they're tied to fear, to uncertainty, to perfectionism, to all the invisible strings that procrastination uses to pull you back. But when you see them in ink, they lose some of their grip. They stop floating like ghosts in your mind and become something you can actually work with. Procrastination thrives in the abstract. It feeds on the fog. And the moment you put your avoidance into words, you start cutting through that fog. You start replacing vague unease with concrete steps. And no, you might not feel ready to tackle the hardest thing on your list today. That's fine. Readiness isn't required. What's required is motion. Even the smallest action is enough to break the stillness that procrastination depends on. You can't change what you refuse to look at, and you can't move forward while standing still. But the moment you name the truth and see it clearly, you've already taken the first step out of its grip. And from that moment on, every step you take is no longer a fight against time. It's a choice to use it. Segment 7. The second step, shrink the mountain. A massive task feels like a mountain. It looms in front of you, heavy and unshakable, and the sheer size of it makes you want to look away. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, or when you have more time, or when you feel ready. But the truth is, that feeling never comes. Readiness is a myth when the work feels too big. That's why the secret isn't to take the whole thing on at once. The secret is to shrink it. If you've been avoiding that report, don't think about writing 20 pages. Think about writing just one paragraph. If you've been putting off going to the gym, forget about the workout. Just put on your shoes. If the closet needs organizing, commit to clearing one shelf. These small steps seem laughably tiny, almost too easy. And that's the point. Because the hardest part of starting isn't the work itself. It's breaking through the resistance that keeps you frozen. The moment you take a small action, you create a shift. You prove to your brain that the task is no longer an immovable object. It's just a series of manageable moves. That shift is called momentum. And momentum changes everything. It carries you forward, often farther than you expected to go. You might sit down to write one paragraph and find yourself writing 3 pages. You might put on your shoes and end up staying at the gym for an hour. You might clear one shelf and suddenly the whole closet is done. We wait for motivation, but motivation is unreliable. It's moody, inconsistent, and shows up when it wants to, not when we need it. Momentum, on the other hand, is predictable. It's a force you can summon simply by starting, no matter how small the start. So the next time you catch yourself stalling, stop waiting to feel inspired. Instead, look for the smallest, easiest step you can take. Then take it. Don't worry about the mountain. Just move the first stone.
Because once you start, the rest gets lighter. And before you know it, you're already on your way.
Segment 8. The third step, build a philosophy of action. Adopt the Stoic practice of premeditation malorum, the premeditation of evils. It is the discipline of imagining not just what could go wrong if you act, but what could go wrong if you don't. Most people avoid thinking about inaction. They picture risk only in terms of taking a step forward, not in terms of staying exactly where they are. But the Stoics knew that hesitation has a price. Delay has a weight. Waiting too long can be more dangerous than moving too soon. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, if I don't do this now, what will it cost me in a week? What will it cost me in a month? What will it cost me in a year? Will I lose momentum? Will I lose an opportunity? Will I lose trust in myself? Because those losses are not as loud as failure, but they are just as real and far more common. The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once observed that the future influences the present just as much as the past. That means every choice you make today is already being shaped by the version of you that exists tomorrow. You are not only carrying the weight of your history, you are also carrying the pull of your potential. Your future self is watching, waiting, hoping you'll make the decision that clears their path. And that self is depending on you to act now, not later. So before you decide to put it off, picture what happens if you don't take the step. Imagine the opportunity fading. Imagine the confidence slipping. Imagine the doors that quietly close without you even knowing they existed. Then imagine something else, the relief of having acted, the pride of having tried, the momentum that comes from movement. Because inaction is not neutral. It is a decision in itself, and it is one that shapes your future just as surely as action does. So when the moment comes, do not wait for the perfect time. Do not tell yourself you'll be braver tomorrow. You have a future that is already calling to you, and the only way to meet it is to start walking toward it now. Segment 9. Guarding against the relapse. Procrastination is a sly and cunning force. It doesn't always announce itself loudly or boldly. Instead, it sneaks back into your life quietly, often disguised as harmless distractions. It's in the endless scroll of your phone, the tempting buzz of notifications, the sudden urge to check emails or social media just one more time. It's a subtle thief that steals your most precious resource, your time, and before you know it, the hours you planned to spend working have slipped away. That's why guarding your time is so important. It's not just about managing a schedule or crossing tasks off a list. It's about creating a space around you that invites focus and blocks out the noise. You want your environment to support the kind of attention that leads to progress, not distraction. That means turning off notifications on your devices so you aren't constantly pulled away by the ping or the flash of a message. It means setting clear boundaries for yourself, like using a timer to work in focused bursts, sometimes called sprints, where you give yourself permission to dive deeply into the work for a set amount of time. Maybe 25 minutes, maybe 45, but with zero interruptions. After that, you take a break, then go again. This rhythm trains your brain to stay present, to resist the temptation to wander off into procrastination's quiet traps. But perhaps the most powerful secret in all this is the way you celebrate small wins. Too often we think success only matters when it's big and dramatic, but in reality, every completed action matters. Each time you finish a task, no matter how small, you are reinforcing the identity of someone who gets things done, someone who acts. That identity, built moment by moment, is the foundation of lasting productivity and progress. So be kind to yourself. Notice the small victories. Celebrate finishing that email, completing that page, sending that message. Every one of those moments is a step toward becoming the kind of person who doesn't wait for motivation to strike, but
but shows up anyway and makes things happen. The battle against procrastination isn't won by willpower alone. It's won by designing your environment, your habits, and your mindset so that action becomes not just easier, but inevitable. When you protect your time, structure your work, and honor every small success, you begin to rewrite the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. You become a person who acts consistently and confidently, no matter what distractions come your way. Segment 10. The life beyond delay. Imagine your life without the heavy weight of procrastination hanging over your shoulders. Picture a day where the tasks you know you need to do get done when they should, without delay, without excuses, without that nagging voice telling you it can wait just a little longer. Think about the dreams you've been holding in the quiet corners of your mind, not gathering dust, not paused indefinitely, but moving forward, gaining momentum, becoming real. That kind of life is not just a distant hope or some abstract ideal. It is possible. But to reach it, you have to begin by seeing procrastination clearly for what it truly is. Procrastination is a thief in the night. It sneaks in quietly, distracting you, pulling your attention away from what matters most. It steals your time, your energy, their focus, and leaves you feeling like you're running on empty or trapped in a loop of unfinished business. And just like any thief, the only way to stop it is to stay awake, to be present, to be vigilant, to catch it before it steals another moment from your day. The great paradox is that procrastination thrives in the dark places of our mind, where fear, doubt, and distraction quietly gather. But when you shine a light on it, when you bring your full awareness to what you're avoiding, that's when the thief loses its power. So here's a simple challenge for you. Pick one thing you've been putting off. One task, one call, one decision that's been hovering in your mind, waiting for a right time that never seems to come. And do it today. Don't wait until conditions are perfect. Don't wait until you feel completely ready, or until you can dedicate hours or energy you think you don't have. Just start. Take that first small step. It doesn't have to be flawless or complete. It just has to be done. Because starting is the crack in the door that lets in light. Starting is the first act of rebellion against that sneaky thief who wants you to stay stuck. When you start, you send a message to yourself that you are in control, that your goals and your time are worth protecting. And once you begin, momentum builds. Action creates energy. What seemed like a mountain shrinks into a series of manageable steps. The heavy burden of procrastination begins to lift, and suddenly you're moving, breathing, alive in your purpose. So today, wake up. See procrastination for what it is, a thief who only has power when you look away. Keep your eyes open. Choose to act. Choose to begin. And watch how the life you imagined, free from delay and full of movement, begins to unfold right in front of you. If this video stirred something in you, if you want to explore how philosophy can help you live with clarity and courage, then subscribe for weekly deep dives into the art of living well. Like this video to help more thinkers find it. Listen, comment below. What's one thing you will stop procrastinating on today? The best time to start was yesterday. The second best is now.